Good morning, boaters. Keith McGowan, the Outboard Dad here to help you have a better boating experience. Today we're here with Kaden and Steven, his buddy. Yep. Return the key.
Yeah, just turn the key.
Keep going. Okay. So it's 123.
So is that good?
Yep. It's a good start.
1 out of 4.
Place your bets.
If you want it to start up, he can choke it.
No, we don't want to start it.
Just crank it. Okay.
Yeah, so what I want to do is I want to put the spark plugs back in and make sure everything is sparking while we're cranking it. Go ahead. Okay. 125. This was sparking, right?
Yep. What's the minimum you'd want?
It's really not too much of the pressure itself. It's that it has to be even.
Okay.
You start getting below 90, it's not going to have a lot of pressure. But 125 tells me this hasn't had a lot of hours on it because it's like 135 new.
Yeah. Yeah, I've probably only put less than 100, maybe 100 on it myself.
Okay.
In the couple years.
Go ahead. 130. So your compression's pretty good.
Okay.
I mean, this one high one, I'm not too concerned about why that's high.
Okay.
I don't think that's an issue.
Will come out if I...
It'll. You got to get it out and run it. The only way you know for sure is when you take this out on the water and you run it successfully, and then you come back, let it cool off, then do a compression check.
Okay.
But I'm not too concerned about that one.
Okay.
You know, I also see how this says top on this gasket. So these heads have been off.
Okay.
Because the original one would have been painted white.
Okay.
With the engine, right? So that's a good start.
Okay.
I took a quick look at the power tilt and trim when you had it up. That looks like it was replaced.
Okay.
Because it's gray, right? Yeah.
Under here?
Yep.
Yeah. oh yeah, I see that. Yeah. Yeah. That
And the
must
motor
have been-
looks good. It's not corroded, right?
Yep.
This was a freshwater motor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's very good.
Yeah, this boat doesn't do that well in much more than
No.
fresh water.
Yeah. You need calm seas.
Yeah.
All right. So how about the transom? Solid as a rock.
Perfect.
I had guys come here with boats, and I'll do that, and the whole thing will. I'm like, like, oh, what do I do? I said, well, the first thing you can do is put a strap around this on the way home.
Yeah, so you want to...
You know, so it doesn't fall off on you.
Yeah.
I actually had a guy, I sold him a motor. He put it on himself. He said, I can't get this to run right. Can I meet you down at the ramp?
Yeah.
You know, so he already had the boat in the water, and I'm standing on the dock looking, and I can see the transom moving
Yeah.
with the engine.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'm not going out with you on that because that sucker's going to fall off. You know, it's going to be hanging by the cables, you know. All right, so you got a nice, good old motor. And
That's
there's
what I like to hear.
not many of these around. The tricky part is going to be this wiring.
Okay.
So let me get this in the video so people can see. So this is what you need to look out for here because you can see how this is starting to deteriorate the insulation. So we want to be careful and keep an eye on those. The other thing that happens when you have that is moisture gets into the wire. So now it kind of becomes a resistor,
Yeah.
right? So you don't have good flow of electricity.
Yeah.
But everything else looks pretty
Yeah.
clean. You got a newer starter on there?
Yes. Those, I don't know if you've seen this, but they kind of go more frequently than, I guess, maybe a car. I don't know.
Shouldn't.
No? Okay.
Now,
Well,
unless you
I
have an
repla-
aftermarket one that's just not good. You
Yeah,
know?
I replaced mine shortly after I bought it, and I haven't had to since.
Okay.
But the guy told me I might need to, so I bought a spare in case, but I haven't needed it, so.
Do you see it leaking any fuel at all?
No. Occasionally I'll get some in here just because the gas cap's here and I'll spill. but no, not that I know of. Like you said, a little smoky, you know,
Right.
when you start it up.
So
But-
the other thing I like about these is this has metal bowls on the carburetors. This model here, that 90 horse,
Yeah.
the 1990s motors had a plastic bowl.
Okay.
And you tighten up the screws and they kind of bend, it kind of
Yeah.
warps a little bit
Yeah.
just by how you use it. So you have to put it on like a flat surface with sandpaper and make it flat again so it doesn't leak all
Yeah.
over the place.
Okay.
So this is so late 70s is when they started this style. That's early 70s, that lower unit that you had,
Yeah.
which is totally different electronics and everything.
Okay.
This is a dual power pack. So I've been out on the water and running it. Runs okay, but it just doesn't have any power. And then find out that it was one of the power packs was bad.
Okay, but it'll still run half.
It'll run on 2 cylinders.
Okay.
It'll get you back in.
Okay.
There's no power at all.
It's hard to start, because it's only 2 cylinders. You have to keep the idle, the throttle going for it to stay going.
Yeah.
But then I had a guy teach me. I was on the phone with him, and he said, pull a spark plug wire off. Boom. Did it die? Yeah. Okay. Go to the other side. Pull spark plug wire off. Boom. Did it die? No, it's still running.
Okay.
Is it running better or worse? No. It's the same thing. Pull the other one off. Pull the other one off. Is it running the same way? Yeah. Okay, you got a bad power pack on this side.
Yeah.
Right. So if I was you, I would take some time, cut these tie straps, and go through your wiring.
Okay.
Anything that is that much corroded, if you can put a new piece of wire in there,
Okay. Yeah, it looks like the wires would be pretty easy to replace in here.
and this doesn't look too bad. What's here?
Yeah.
See how right there? See the crack right there?
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to do this with it because you're going to
Yeah.
see, and then moisture gets in there. See, look at this right here. I have exposed wires right there. Let's check that out.
Oh yeah.
So as we can see, we had a little critters here munching down, but look at this here. Right, so where's this go to? This is going to our power pack off of our stator.
Okay.
So this is getting a signal. So let's see what we have kicking around. Sometimes you can find guys selling used parts.
Yep.
It looks to me like the wire itself doesn't look too bad. You could cut that off, just strip this back. It doesn't need to be, this is just a protective
Okay.
coating. You could tape it up when you're done, but here's what you want to use. You done any electrical work before, or?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, that's for you, it's a gift.
Okay.
Don't say never gave you nothing.
That's right. You know some old timers to know that saying.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is so you can cut this wire like here,
Okay.
leave that part stripped so you can put this on it, right? Now you want to get a crimper that has a point like that.
Okay.
A lot of the crimpers, they just kind of pinch it like this and it never stays.
Okay.
So this point goes on here, right? And now when I squeeze that,
It's going.
Yeah.
that ain't going anywhere,
Okay.
right? And then this is a heat shrink hose. So you heat it up with a heat gun.
Okay. So I'd put this half of the wire, and then this half I'd need to strip.
Yeah, well,
End of
you're
it.
going to strip this off of here.
Yep.
So you're probably going to cut all this, take the power pack off, see what it's like the rest of the way.
Okay.
You might have to do the whole wire,
Okay.
right? Because eventually this is in a good spot, if any,
Yep.
and it's more likely it got chewed than eaten away at.
Yeah.
And then they the mouse hit the wire and stopped chewing,
Yeah.
So eventually that's going to be somewhere like here where it's touching the block and you're going to short something out. And
Okay.
now you have nothing. Now what you can do is you can cut this heat shrink off,
Okay.
and this way you can get it really close right up to that.
And then crimp it right next to that.
Crimp it right next to that, right?
Still tape it, right? After
Yep.
you're done, okay.
Well, you can buy like that little spot. I know what you're thinking. I like that thinking. You can buy some of that liquid electrical tape
Okay.
and put it over top of it
Okay.
just to keep moisture from
on.
getting in there,
Yeah.
Okay.
right? Electrical stuff is usually the detriment of boats.
Okay,
Right,
yeah,
there's
the
always
moisture.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
moisture, especially if it's salt water, forget it. These saltwater motors.
That's high maintenance on those things. Keeping them going good and everything.
It's what I work on most is saltwater motors.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing a video series now, 4-stroke versus 2-stroke. So that one needs to be rebuilt too, the 4-stroke, which is a whole lot more work than these 2-strokes, right? So I'm going to do a full video on that. I'm going to take the engine block off of that. Sometimes you break bolts,
Yep.
and it's just like, forget it. I'm going to spend hours just fixing 1 or 2 bolts.
Yeah.
I just scrap it. You know, I'll save the carburetors or some other parts because someone like you will say, hey, I need a carburetor.
Yeah.
And then I have them,
Yeah.
you know, because sometimes water gets in these things and it gets so badly corroded the carburetors, and that's all you need. The rest of it's okay. So I'll save those parts for that. So,
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
all right, so now we want to check here. So this is also key. So right here, I'm going to push. See, this is my mount,
Okay.
and I'm going to push on this. And I can see that this mount is still solid. There's a rubber mount in there, right? It's a regular motor mount,
Oh yeah. I see.
right? This is cast iron,
Yeah.
and the nut is nice and clean, right? There's another motor mounts on both sides of this. So
Yeah.
I can see that this is still, for its age, that rubber is still in really good condition.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Power tilt and trim looks good, and obviously it was replaced, so all those bolts are good.
Yeah.
Steering works okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I like these cables because they have grease fittings on them. Making sure you grease these regularly is going to be key to it lasting.
Okay. All right.
No, they don't take a bunch of grease, does it?
Not much.
Squirts?
If it starts to squirt out someplace, you know, just
Stop.
extra grease never hurt anybody.
Is there one
know?
a nipple on this side too, or just that side?
So just on that side,
Okay.
it's going to come out of here, and what you do is you crank it all the way this way, and then you put grease on those
Okay.
when they come out. So the reason they do a double on this is because this you're flying across the water on.